Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through the noise to bring you the key insights. Today, we're diving into GLP-1 weight loss drugs. These are the medications that mimic hormones to manage appetite. It's a huge area, not just changing lives, but also, well, shaking up multi-billion-dollar markets. Now, you've probably heard about Eli Lilly Novo Nordisk, the big names. But there's another player, Amgen, that's been getting a lot of attention. We've been watching them closely. But as we'll get into, it seems the real fight isn't just about, the amount of weight loss, but how well patients actually tolerate these drugs long term.
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating. The scale here is just incredible. Analysts are talking about, a $200 billion market for obesity drugs by 2031, something like that. That kind of number, it's a massive draw for pharma companies wanting to boost their growth.
It really is a huge shift. So our mission today is to unpack Amgen's story, specifically their drug, MariTide. We'll look at the early buzz, some recent clinical trial results that definitely raise some eyebrows and what it all means for the GLP-1 field, for the companies involved, and importantly for you listening, trying to stay ahead on this really crucial topic. So yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so the big picture first.
Yeah.
Why are we seeing this intense focus? Why are companies like Amgen pouring so much money into GLP-1 drugs right now?
Well, connecting it back, it really circles around that $200 billion market projection. That's just a staggering opportunity for growth. So the question everyone was asking was, what was MariTide bringing to the fight? What made it, stand out?
Right, and this is where it got really interesting initially. Its design. The big thing was, unlike Lilly's and Novo's drugs, which are weekly shots, Amgen designed MariTide to be taken just monthly.
Monthly, yeah.
That convenience factor, for patients, that seemed huge. A potential game changer.
And on top of that, the early data, the phase 2 stuff, those initial studies looking at efficacy and safety, it showed people potentially losing around 20% of their body weight after a year or so. Looked great on paper, really attractive.
But then the full data came out from that same phase 2 trial, and it revealed a pretty significant concern.
Okay, so what was it? What was the big problem that popped up and caused this concern, especially after it looked so good at first glance?
Well, at the highest dose they tested, 27% of the people in the trial actually stopped taking MariTide. The reason? Gastrointestinal issues, nausea, vomiting, that kind of thing. And 27%, that immediately flags patient tolerability as a major hurdle.
27%. Wow. Yeah, that's a high number, especially for a drug you need to take long term. So how did Amgen respond? Did they have an explanation or a plan?
They did address it. They pointed out that when they used a slower dose titration schedule, meaning they increased the dose more gradually, that dropout rate due to side effects fell to under 8%.
Okay, under 8%. That's much better.
Much better, yes. So they've confirmed that in the ongoing phase 3 trials, the big ones needed for approval, they're using that slower ramp up to try and minimize these issues.
Right. So what does this actually mean for the drug's chances, for its success? Especially since, like we said, these aren't short-term treatments. People might be on these, forever.
And that's such a critical point, isn't it? Because if someone stops taking these GLP-1 drugs, the weight often comes right back, sometimes even more weight. So think about it from the patient's perspective. If you're feeling sick all the time, even if you're losing weight, how long are you realistically going to stick with that treatment? Years? Decades? Probably not. So the real winners here, I think, won't just be the drugs with the absolute highest weight loss percentage. It'll be the ones that patients can actually tolerate day in, day out. Comfort really dictates adherence.
Interesting. So you're saying that maybe chasing that extra 5% weight loss isn't worth it if it comes with much worse side effects. Patients might just say, look, I'll take the weekly shot or the slightly less effective drug if it means I don't feel terrible.
Precisely. They might trade off peak efficacy for better day-to-day living, which makes perfect sense for a chronic therapy. And what's really fascinating now is how this might impact, investors and the market perception. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, they've already got approved drugs out there. They're generating billions. They've set the bar.
So does this news make Amgen look, less attractive as an investment now? I know it was seen by some as a bit of an underrated play because of MariTide's potential. Does this sort of knock that down a bit?
Look, Amgen's still a solid company overall. They have a good base business. And MariTide isn't dead in the water. They might figure out the dosing perfectly in phase 3. But yeah, based purely on this recent data, it probably suggests more of a wait-and-see stance for the stock, at least regarding the GLP-1 story. That really bullish case, the one heavily banking on MariTide becoming a huge blockbuster quickly, it's definitely not looking quite as strong right now.
Okay. So for you listening, if you're looking at healthcare stocks, maybe specifically in this GLP-1 space, what's the takeaway here? What seems like the more sensible approach now?
Well, at this particular moment, based on what we know,
Yeah.
going with the established players, Eli Lilly or Novo Nordisk, probably makes more sense if you want GLP-1 exposure. They have the proven approved products, they're already leaders, and honestly, their stocks might even get a bit of a bump from this news. Seeing a potential major competitor stumble a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, what an insightful look at this whole GLP-1 situation. It really highlights that, innovation is great, convenience is great, but for these long-term treatments, the real make or break factor seems to be patient tolerability, managing those side effects effectively.
Exactly. For chronic conditions like obesity, how much the drug works is only like half the equation. Patient adherence, which is driven by how comfortable they are taking it consistently, that's what really determines if a drug succeeds in the long run in the real-world market.
So here's something for you, our listener, to maybe chew on. In this massive $100 billion plus market, how might we see future drug development change? Could there be an even bigger shift towards perfecting that patient experience, maybe even prioritizing it over squeezing out every last percentage point of weight loss? What do you think is the most critical factor for long-term success here? Something to consider. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you feel a bit more informed and ready to crack this really dynamic space.